All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the District of Brown Deer School Board meeting. I call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock p.m. Verification of public notice. Meeting has been publicly noticed. Verification of a quorum. We have all 7 board members in attendance this evening. Approval of the agenda. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Thank you very much, Ms. Robinson. Motion made. We have second.
Second.
Thank you very much, Ms. Barrington. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor will raise hand and or aye. Any opposed? Hearing and seeing none, motion carries unanimously 7-0. In the reading of our vision and mission statement, our vision is to provide a rigorous education that empowers our students to confidently navigate in our ever-changing world. And our mission is through the lens of excellence, equity, and engagement. We are dedicated to empowering every student with the essential skills to build a foundation for lifelong learning. All right, so since this is our regularly scheduled board meeting, tonight is a night to where we can have public comments. Individuals wishing to be heard will need to put their name and their address. And you have a 3-minute limit on your comment. Again, not a question, but a comment on something that is a part of our agenda, this evening's agenda. All right. And someone will be monitoring the chat when we get to that portion of the agenda. So now, with that being said, let's go to our district communications. Dr. Cotton.
Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Beater. Good evening, Board of Education. Patrice Cotton, proud superintendent for the School District of Brown Deer. You may ask, Dr. Cotton, tell me something good regarding the district for the month of January. I'm happy to report there are a number of activities to highlight that promote the Brown Deer student as a caring, thoughtful global citizen who is interested in serving the needs of others and making positive choices regularly. January events, milestones, and communications are included in this report are at the BDE, a sports banquet was held. And I want to thank all staff members involved for helping to celebrate our youngest athletes at the elementary school. Students were recognized for their participation in several sporting activities, including football, basketball, volleyball, and soccer. Thank you to the parents who were able to join their son or daughter for this event. We are happy to announce we are working on the return of Girl Scouts back at our elementary school. We are looking for any interested parent to serve as the leader of the troop. If interested, please contact Gabby Hayden at GHAYDN@gswise.org for additional information. Thank you to the PTC for our monthly birthday celebrations. Students born in the month of January and July were celebrated down at the BDE on the 27th, or yesterday. These special students were able to celebrate with a guest at lunch, receive a cupcake, sticker, and participate in a lunchtime dance party. The importance of diving into a good book is on full display down at the BDE. In the vestibule of the school, free books are available for any student who would like to take one. At the Brown Deer Middle School, making school connections after the regular day is important to the staff in the middle school. Currently, a survey has been given to middle school parents to determine middle school after-school program interest for students. The interests include an arts club, chess club, or after-school tutoring for students to participate in. Clubs and tutoring are expected to begin the second full week in February. On Friday, January 28th, our middle school students who received the highest or the most improved winter map score were invited to an academic achievement recognition breakfast. Over 100 students and their parents were in attendance. What a wonderful way to celebrate our students' accomplishments. Each student received a certificate and had a photo taken as a way to commemorate their accomplishment. Special shout out to Ms. Washington and Ms. Kirchman for recognizing our students, and Mr. Pham, our food service, for serving up a delicious breakfast for all to enjoy. All hail, the champ is here. Congratulations to our middle school forensic team champions. Our students took first place in the Oak Creek Middle School Tournament. Special shout out to our coaches, Ms. Dolores Brown, Rebecca Shaw, and Carly Cholka, for preparing our students to compete. We also have the student of the month at the middle school. Duha Sharif, a 6th grader, was nominated and awarded Student of the Month at BDM. Her teachers describe her as a self-motivated, positive, and showing a great attitude toward learning each day. Congratulations, Noah. At the high school, in preparation for exam season, our high school students were able to participate in Cocoa and Cram. The event gives students the opportunity to meet with their staff to receive additional support and prepare for exams. Congratulations to all of our high school students for successfully completing your exam for semester 1. As a suggestion provided by the Superintendent's Student Advisory Council, students were able to release some stress and participate in open gym following exams. Thank you, SSAC members, for advocating for your fellow students, as a special shout out to the high school staff for making it happen. Special shout out to our Brown Deer bowling team for qualifying for the state meet in Neenah, Wisconsin, that will be held this upcoming March. So congratulations to those students, and we can't wait for you to bring home a championship as well. I don't know if you know, but Brown Deer is going to the Super Bowl. Well, Zach Braun from the class of 2015 is actually. Mr. Green was interviewed with Fox 6 about our former student, Zach Braun, to discuss Zach's time here in the district. We congratulate Zach on his upcoming Super Bowl performance and wish him nothing but the best. Our wrestling team has one final match scheduled for tomorrow night here in the district at 7 p.m. Please come out to cheer on our team as they compete for the Woodland Conference title. Good luck to all of our wrestlers. And then congratulations to our high school Falcons of the Month, Nathan Lee, Amir Mans, Liliana Murphy, John Northern, Reed Oliver, Robert Skeba, Ariana Tenner, Andre Tucker Peltz. And lastly, dear friends of Brown Deer Theater, don't forget to buy your tickets for the upcoming musical, The Wiz, that will be held February 6th through the 9th. With over 70 students from across the district are participating in it, and it's certainly an event you don't want to miss. All tickets will have reserved seating and are only sold online at Hometown Ticketing. Please note, there will be no tickets sold at the door. And if you have additional questions or concerns, please contact Ms. Kathy Ironworth with any questions. And that concludes my report for the month of January.
All right, so great things happening in the district. Thank you so much, Dr. Kyle. Our next agenda item is public comments. This is a time, as Dr. Vito mentioned before, where you are permitted to make a up to 3 minute comment related to an agenda item that we have. Currently don't see anything in the chat online, but we'll give it a couple more minutes. If you are interested, please enter your name, your address, and the item that you would like to comment on per the instructions within the chat, if you are online. So I will say, while we're waiting, it was so bittersweet when Zach caught that interception against the Packers. So yeah, we'll be happy to see Brown Deer at the Super Bowl. Hopefully we'll be able to have a celebration of some sorts for him when he's back in the area, so. All right, nothing right now in time of public comments, so we will proceed at this time. Up next is the consent agenda. Get a motion for the approval of the consent agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda, including the minutes of the December 17th, 2024 regular board meeting, the schedule of voucher payments via check, ACH, and wire transfers in the amount of $1,352,530.50 in the general checking account and the food service account, including funds 10, 21, 27, 39, 47, 49, 50, 72, and 80, and the January 28, 2025 school safety drill update as presented tonight.
All right, thank you so much, Director Ashley. A second, please. Second. Director Macon, any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor was aye? Aye. Okay, the motion carries 6-0. All right, let us continue on then. Items for discussion, consideration, and possible board action. Approval of new hires.
We have no new hires this evening, and I also see that we have no resignation there. Well,
You went too fast. I was about to try to throw it all in there together. Good job. All right, next approval of general education and special education open enrollment seats for 25-26.
yeah, so we had a discussion a couple weeks ago, just kind of looking at where we were. We wanted to complete the January pupil count to get a better sense of where our enrollment was, to be able to project forward and come up with some estimates of where we believe our available seats will be. And so we did complete that. I'll speak to that a little bit later on the next agenda item about the pupil count itself. But as we talked about, we currently have, right now, we actually have 78 open enrollment in students. We had 80 at the start of the year. And so when the 10 seniors graduate, we'll have 68. And so one of the targets was to at least try to get us back to that 80 number roughly, so that we'd be able to maintain the same level that we had this year. And so we did look at that. So on the second page of the open enrollment executive summary, we go through the chart of how we develop our estimates for seats for next year. So real briefly, we're starting with our January enrollment. So that is the enrollment based on the pupil count. Look at our seats per grade at that current level. I do note for you the number of students who are on either a current year tuition waiver or additional year tuition waiver. So these are students who are still going to Brown Deer, but no longer live in the district. So this would be their last year of eligibility at this point. These 20 students to be in our district. So next year, they would either have to open enroll or move back to the district, otherwise they'll be going to wherever their district is. So just to kind of give you a sense that there are some students in that limbo right now.
So what if we do have a set of students who are in that limbo where they are here and they want to come back?
Well, that'll be an option. So again, with the decision to go to the waiting list for all grade levels, you would have the option, the board would have the option at a later date to open up seats if you wanted to at specific grade levels. And you can do it based on, you can kind of estimate where they're going to be in which grades. The state statute mandates that all currently enrolled students get preference on the list. So they would come to the top of the list. Now, if there's multiple people, or siblings is the other piece. If you have a sibling that's already enrolled in the district, you'd also be put at the top of the waiting list. So there would be an opportunity for those students to have at least the first opportunity to open enroll into the district. Not automatic, it depends how many seats there, the board will decide to open if we feel like we had capacity, but that would be one potential strategy to retain those students who have been here.
Okay.
So that, again, that's something we will look at. It's hard to predict now. Any students who move after the February deadline, I think it's sometime in early February, then they would be considered current year this year, and it would have an additional year next year. So they could either remain in that additional year area, or they could potentially open enroll in it. So that would again be the discussion to see how many students we have at the end of the school year that are in that sense. But these are the ones that are in it as of the January count.
Okay.
So okay, so then I just noting that for you going forward. Then I run our current enrollment through the Baird cohort survival method. So it looks back at the last 5 years and sees what the transitions have been like from grade to grade. And the numbers under the projected enrollment column is what the model is suggesting. And so that brings us up on 11 students. So it takes us to 1628 from our current count of 1617. We look at our projected class sizes then. At this point, we are not adding any sections. We're not budgeting to do that. So we still have 4 sections of 4K, 5 sections at all the elementary school level, 6 sections at middle school, and then high school, we use 5 as a guide. Obviously, a high school section is a little bit more it's hard to quantify because you have so many different subject matters that you're working with. Whereas, 6th grade and 7th grade have a certain number of teachers, so we know how many sections we truly have. So we've been using that historically, that number 5 as we go forward. And then we have our recommended class size of where we are. And this has been district policy for quite some time. We use 20 at the lower grade levels at the elementary school, 22 for the upper grades, 24 at the middle school, and 26 at the high school. And so then when you look at the projected, enrollment divided by the number of sections, we're looking at our class size to see how many potential seats at each grade level we may have. What we also do though is we also have this column that says seats held for new residents. And we do account for the fact that there is the potential of either residents coming back to enrollment or moving into the district. And so while we certainly don't expect 10 students at every grade level, we do kind of reserve some so that at any one grade level, that number of students, which we have seen before, wouldn't negatively impact what our planning would be. We kind of have that in reserve. So when we subtract out that 10, then you're left with what the available open enrollment seats are, which are the grades highlighted in the orange. And then with our recommendation of what we would like to do in an administrative team, again, targeting that 80 number, we're looking at recommending 11 seats at 6th grade and 1 seat at 8th grade. When you look at 6th grade, the reason for that is that 6th grade coming across from the 5th grade class is actually one of our smaller classes at the elementary school right now. It's currently at 101, projected to be 109. When you move from a 5-section to a 6-section grade, now that class size is 18.2 versus our targeted of 24. So we certainly have plenty of space. 25 seats is currently what the model says. However, that would be a lot to take in 1 year for open enrollment. So just like we did last year when I think we had 30 seats available, we did 15. So we're kind of going about halfway with that and looking at 11. We also had 1 seat at 8th grade, which was also which was fine. So we thought we'll do the 12 seats, going from again 68 to 80 and using those 12 seats. The reason we're not recommending anything with kindergarten is that right now in 4th grade, we have a grade that we're going to watch very carefully. The 3rd grade number right now is at 116. 4th grade is projected to be at 124, which is a significant size for that class. We won't do anything immediately, but it's something we will watch over the course of the summer to see if those numbers start to come in, because you could potentially, the board may need to make a decision on whether or not we would add a 6th section of that grade, which I don't believe we've ever had before, is having 6 sections of any one grade, even when we had 2 elementary schools, but that's something we're going to watch. Now, whether that means we would add a teacher or whether we would shift a teacher from another grade level that maybe had lower enrollment and go down to 4 sections, which we have done before, or we have had that happen before, that would be a conversation over the summer. One of the grades we do see, which is projected to be relatively low, is kindergarten. Right now, we're looking at less than 90 students projected. So if that were to be the case, it could be a possibility that maybe we would shift an FTE from kindergarten into that 4th grade role. So again, nothing's been decided yet. It's all just we'll be watching it very carefully. But that's one reason why we wouldn't add that 1 seat at kindergarten at this point, because we don't know that might be a place where we would, kind of buy out the FTE if we needed to shift people around. And then at 10th grade, while we do have a few seats, in general, we have avoided adding students at the high school level just due to the amount of time left, the potential for requiring additional credits that may be needed to graduate. So that's why of the seats that were available, we're actually looking at this point proposing for 12 additional seats in regular education. And again, using the waiting list as we're recommending, and hopefully you'll make a motion tonight to approve the use of it, we'll have waiting lists at all grade levels, K4 through 12, which would allow us to do some last minute adjustments if we do see our enrollment coming in over the summer being, low in certain areas, and we feel like we want to backfill it potentially with non-resident students. Or again, if we see a number of tuition waiver students that may be eligible to get in through the open enrollment program, we can open up seats at that point as well. Are there any questions about the regular open enrollment seat projection or recommendation?
Question is really around if we have any awareness of any pending school closures in nearby districts, right, in the area for potential openings. Because I'm thinking specifically about, is it Augustine Pratt? But I don't think they open till
2026, so they won't open this fall.
But otherwise, others than we have any awareness of that, we should be thoughtful about, like, hey, this could potentially be coming our way, or
in most cases, they have to be residents, to do that. There could be, I know I've heard other districts talking about either consolidating schools or doing some other things with budget cuts, but I don't know that anything is official. Obviously, the Augustine Prep is on our radar. That could potentially be it. We're also aware of the fact that we will have this new apartment, townhouse development that's being built right now. I don't know exactly when it's going to open, but I'm guessing based on what I've seen progress wise, it would likely open sometime during the school year, which could mean we have to be prepared for influx of students as well. So I guess we're being a little cautious on the numbers, but again, that's where this has always been a challenge for us, because our enrollment is so fluid and changes from year to year. That we're making this decision now, 8 months before school starts to really decide where we're at. By doing the waiting list, we're gonna have a lot more flexibility and be able to, again, address any potential small areas and might help any kind of budget shortfall we'd be experiencing. If we want to keep our enrollment around the same, we can use, open enrollment to backfill a little bit if we need to.
And revisit the conversation in summer if need be, right?
Right, so we'll be working through that, yeah, as enrollment is coming in, we'll update the board in July and early August, and we can make some decisions, in mid to late August to open up additional seats.
I do want to offer one correction on your executive summary. When you're showing the difference between September and January, that for the seniors.
You know, with the people count. You talking about the open enrollment
Yeah.
one, or
No,
that's the next one, that's the next topic.
oh, okay.
So the regular seats we have, and then from a special education standpoint, as we have done in the past, we don't consider having any spaces in any of our programs for special education. So we are again recommending 0 seats specifically tied to special ed. It doesn't mean that students with IEPs won't come in through the regular education window. What happens if every year when we do that, before students are added to the waiting list, information is determined if they have an IEP, and those IEPs are reviewed by the services department and Director Ramos here, and will determine whether or not whatever services are required can be accommodated by our staff and by the programs that we currently offer, and if so, then they are included in the waiting list. They would just take up a regular seat, because that does happen from time to time. We also have students that go in through regular education, but then, identify with an IEP at a later point in time. And so they're special education under the open enrollment program, but they didn't get a special education seat. So then tonight, really, we're looking at 3 motions. One, to approve the number of regular education seats. One, to approve the number of special education seats, and one to approve the use of waiting lists for all 3.
Motion?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And they're all listed there.
So can we get a motion for the first, for regular education?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve a total of 12 new regular education open enrollment seats, including 11 6th grade seats and 1 8th grade seat for the 25-26 school year.
Thank you, Director Walker. Second?
A second.
Director Welch, any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Second motion,
I make a motion to approve 0 special education seats for the 2025-26 school year.
thank you, Director Walker. Second? I'll second. You, Director Farrington. Any discussion? All in favor with aye? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries 6-0. And our third motion,
I'll make a motion to approve the use of open enrollment waiting lists for grades 4K through 12 for the 2025-26 school year.
thank you, Director Walker. Second, please.
I'll second.
Director Farrington, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you very much. So we have our approval for open enrollment. Our Next item is our January 25 pupil count.
Thank you very much. So we completed the pupil count. This was something that generally was handled by our district accountant who left for the holidays. And so I took it over to not tax our current new account. And so it was an interesting experience to be kind of leading that charge. So it was the first time I was in as deep as we were. Again, we count membership twice a year. The January count is average with the September count, and that is what our equalization aid for the 25-26 school year will be based on. So it is an important count. And again, we're focusing on students who have to be here. So you have to be here on the account date, which was January 10th, or you have to be here one day before and one day after. And then I filed the report on Friday, so you had to be here by the 24th, otherwise it would count. So we did have, I know I presented a different report from Skyward. We're just kind of projecting where we thought we would be, but we did have a number of students, a number of records get cleaned up as we were going through that process. And then there are a number of students we couldn't count because they hadn't returned yet after the count date. So that's why these numbers are a little different than what, they're lower than what we were talking about originally. But our official count in January is 1,617 of students enrolled in the district and taking seats up in the district. And then just as a reminder of how this formula works because it's not just enrollment, it's called membership. So it's the entire, it's really looking at resident students in the district. So we take our students in attendance and we count both the ones that were here and the before and afters. We subtract out any non-residents in attendance. So that would include open enrollment in students or students on additional year tuition waivers. Those get reduced out. And then we add back residents attending elsewhere, which could be open enrollment out, or it could be outside placements that we're actually monitoring. So next to the table, I just provided you a little chart just to I was kind of interested in kind of looking at the numbers a little closer. So between September and January, we had 45 new students, 29 withdrawals, 6 open enrollment changes. So these were students who were on open enrollment either in or out and became enrolled in the district. So they either moved here or they enrolled in as an open enrollment out. We have 13 of our students on current year tuition waivers. That's again highlighted in that 20 number, just kind of showing you that these are students that have moved since start of the school year and would not be eligible to be here next year unless they went through the open enrollment process.
So what is that really, the current year tuition waiver? Is that student choosing to go outside the district and then that money follows that?
No, they're considered a resident because they moved after the start of the school year. So they lived in Brown Deer, they're counted as a resident, they started here, but at some point their family moves and they can stay here. I mean, they can certainly move to their resident district if they decide to withdraw and move in, but they're welcome to stay, they're welcome to stay here. And so depending on the timing, you're either a current year or an additional year. And if you do it during the school year until February something, basically you're not eligible for the following school year. If you leave later in the school year or after the school year starts, then you have the ability of being here next year as well, if you choose to, or again, moving to your resident district. But these are students who don't live here.
Is that any grades?
Any grade. We also have 16 students under what we call special circumstance. So these are students who aren't residents, but are either potentially in foster placements or homeless. And so we do include those in the count as residents. And then we have 7 students who are on outside placements, some of which are the high school GPS program. We have several students that are in that for that alternative high school opportunity to get into the working world. And then several students in outside placements. And then just sharing with you the summary of the 2 reports. We did have to make a couple of tweaks to the September count, which often happens as you compare. So our official September count now is 1,604 for residents attending. We had 86 open enrollment or tuition waiver students. 225 were through the resident additions for a total of 1,743. In January, we had 1,617 for the residents attending. We had 85 non-residents. So we did 1 open enrollment student did actually move into the district. And we're at 227 for residents additional. So we are at 1,759. So it's plus 16 in our membership. So when those 2 average out, it'll end up being 1,751 for our count for equalization aid purposes. That's more information. It's just that's the report that was filed. So just to let you know that we didn't see the big upswell that we had thought, but we did increase from.
That's pretty significant jump.
So now for.
Yes, I'm sorry. Now, yes, I made an error.
On the 12th grade, roll.
Oh, I see that. Yeah, I see the number there line up there. I will correct that and share that with you again. So, but it is, the total number is correct of 1604 and 1617.
Yeah, I was hoping that it wasn't. I was like, oh, it wasn't as much as, yes. All right, any questions for Mr. Clement? All right. Let's move on then to the 25-26 budget update.
I don't have anything official to share with you this evening. I did put in front of you as well the December treasurer's report, just so that you would see that. If you have any questions, you're welcome to email me or we can discuss it at the next meeting. I did want to just point out that we are still tracking very well. My projections for salaries for this school year, I do anticipate we are going to deficit will not be as significant as we had projected at the beginning. So I'm not willing to commit farther than that at this point, but it is looking good, which I think then does allow us some flexibility again going forward for 25-26. We will start having some conversations about some future planning. CPI was announced for bargaining purposes, which will be 2.95% for the upcoming school year. So that is the official number. Of course, we're also in a little bit of a limbo with the current legal status of Act 10. So I don't know whether we will be able to do what we did last year. We'll have to, again, have some conversations. I'm certainly hopeful. But we do know what the number is for increases, and I do know what some other districts are doing, and I'm hoping we can perform with our current plans. And then we'll be, again, looking at our enrollment and staffing as well, just to kind of see as we start to plan out for the next school year, if we're looking at, open positions and having some flexibility based on our. So I will get more in depth. To be completely honest, the pupil count did take up a considerable amount of my time. One of the things I'll just mention is that we had talked about the audit approval was supposed to be tonight. We're gonna do that in 2 weeks because we didn't have enough time to complete all of our reference checks on that. So it's just an example of like how much time that count took up. So we'll be moving forward now, planning for the 25-26 budget.
Is this gonna be your regular document doing the account, or are you looking to?
No, we'll be, it'll go back into the account role, but one other thing too is that the state is moving the pupil count to an electronic system, so it should be theoretically easier. So we'll see what happens, but I didn't want to. Pam's doing a great job and is doing all of the counting entries and check runs and credit cards and everything. But it's a lot to interrupt that cycle with this work. So we did review it together, and I'll work with her again in September. But districts are piloting an electronic version. There's like a couple dozen that are doing that. And so I'll see when DPI says if we're going to go that route next year, which may simplify things. And it's really more about skyward data wrangling and making sure it's all correct, because it just gets sent to the state. So we'll see where we are there, or if there's still another year that they're working through some of the bugs. Not that it's sort of budget, because we don't really know what's going to happen going forward, but I will just let you know that obviously there's been some talk about federal funding in the last 24 hours. We did receive word from DPI today that they're moving forward with all of their funding that has been provided. So title funding and IDA funding should not be impacted by whatever review is going on. However, I did find out that the COPS grant is on hold, so I can't do any additional, because that's directly through the Department of Justice. So I can't do any additional withdrawals at this point to get reimbursed. So we're going to kind of pause any spending just to see what happens over the next few weeks. But so that could impact planning going forward, because again, there's been some relatively significant things suggested that may happen with funding. And so we'll have to be prepared for any changes that may occur as part of the budget cycle. Otherwise, that is my general update of the finances of the district. Any additional questions?
Do you think we're gonna lose any kids because of the movement with ICE?
Don't know. I mean, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a communication from, thank you for bringing that up. There's going to be a communication from the district out to families as well as one to staff in regards to the district's position in regards to ICE, and if something were to happen. The staff letter will do more about if someone were to show up, what we need to do. And that will go out, but to the families, it's just letting them know that the kids are here. We're going to, do everything within our power to make sure that they are safe in this nurturing environment. So, thank you. And I actually have a draft with me, so if you want to see it tonight, you can see at least what's going on with the families.
Thank you. Did you include anything about like resources for families?
Yeah, there are some, around security, there's some links that are live links when we send this electronically, the parents would be able to look at.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Clemick. Facilities update, Mr. Russ.
Good evening, board. I just wanted to give you guys a quick update of our most recent unfortunate incident that happened to our high school office area. On January 20th, we had some reheat coils in the ceiling break due to some misfortune of having some mechanical errors on one of our rooftops. We immediately called Hellman Restoration to help us out with this. We are currently working with them and their general contractors to get the main office restored back to square one with a tentative date of having our employees back in our main office hopefully by the 10th of February.
So what happened exactly? What's the scene you want?
So what happened was is that one of our outside air dampers on our rooftops froze open, allowing negative 14-degree air in for several hours. And a lot of cold air and some hot pipes still froze the coils, and then add more hot water to it and it ruptured pipes. So unfortunately, we had some damage. They're repairing it.
So the office is unusable right now?
We are keeping people out of there for safety reasons until we can get all clear that everything's been taken care of.
They've been staff that are in those offices have just been relocated around the building, and then they say that all of the repairs should be done possibly by the week of the
February 10th.
February 10th. So then we would be able to move staff back in. So there's just a lot of the carpeting, some of it. We've got to find out if it will still be usable, if we can glue it back down. All of the stuff that's all come up, and there's some drywall that's been removed because it had water damage. I think we have a door with a panel with a warped on it. So it sounds bad, but it is, but it's not as bad as you would think when you're hearing water coming from the ceiling down into an area. So the facilities team got in there pretty quickly and was able to start scooping up water and putting the fans on the area to mitigate some of the damage. But then next night, another pipe burst. So it just.
Is that during the cold stretch?
Yeah, it was MLK Day and then that Tuesday. So those 2 days.
So people weren't even
They weren't
here
here.
for a long stretch of time.
Correct.
Yeah.
Luckily for us, the beginning parts of the first pipe being broken, we actually had wrestling practice going on. And when they were done with practice is when the wrestling team noticed that the main office looked like a sauna. And immediately called me and we got into action immediately. So it had only been a few hours before things had touched.
Mr. Russ, what's the protocol for when we have situations like that where there are extreme temperatures, I'm assuming like, if there are. That was the holiday, of course, but then there was also school closure due to the weather. What's the protocol in terms of having someone to come and just sort of check?
Our HVAC mechanic or our HVAC manager, Ken McIntyre, he comes through the buildings at least once a day. Usually in the morning and then in the late afternoon, early evening. And then we kind of monitor our medicine system to make sure that things aren't going. We do have alarms for things that aren't right. Unfortunately for this, we were having some misfortune with that one. And the mechanical part was not telling us that it was malfunctioning.
So the HVAC guy comes through even on non-school days?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm glad that he caught it at least when he did.
It could have been a lot worse. It
Yeah.
could have been the whole weekend.
Yeah.
That water just coming down.
And if there is any sense of, luck, I mean, if you're familiar with the office, there's a big open area, away from the entrance, and that's where the pipe broke from, so for the most part, so a lot of it was falling into an open area, so it wasn't like over computers,
Yeah.
and the equipment and the
Desk.
desk and anything.
Yeah. So open area.
So. But we'll be analyzing the cost, potentially filing a claim.
Oh, joy.
Yes.
All right, anything else?
No, and that is the end of my report this evening.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Okay, next to board reports, SWSA and the legislative update is Dr. Vito, right? So WASB.
Oh, we had a wonderful convention. Here's my report. This is wonderful. Yeah, I mean, like nothing really, so I'm serve as the district's delegate. So we got through all the resolutions, pretty quickly. Yeah. Like this. No, all of them did not pass. No, they did not. All there were a couple of them that did not pass, and I don't have the information here to provide, but I can do that the next time because I think it's important to know what passed and what didn't pass.
Yeah, and I think it's important for us all to share some key takeaways that we got from our sessions that we went to and things that could be helpful to the rest of the board. I don't think we have a prescribed way of doing that, but I do think that it is something that we need to do. If you attended sessions, or if you were a delegate and attended delegate assembly and those kinds of things, so we'll have to talk about the best way. So if you were in sessions, please have your notes organized and so that we can share that information with each other. All right, Ed Foundation, we're chugging along. We do need some new members for the Ed Foundation. So if you know people who are interested in serving on the foundation, a treasurer and communications are two areas of particular need. So if you know anyone in the community who wants a way to get involved, it's definitely a great way that they are able to do that and being able to support our students and our teachers with support financially for the work that they're doing in the district. Parks and Rec.
We have the next one here. It's a long discussion about moving the farmer's market into the pond parking lot. And actually, there was a meeting tonight that they had with the farmer's market and rec department together. And I was notified while I was here that in fact, the farmer's market is moving into the pond parking lot for this season. So it will be off the street and in the parking lot, I guess. Also, There's gonna be a community survey that the village is sending out, so everyone should look for that and fill it out. If anybody wants to see a preview, I have a copy here. It is actually gonna have some tweaks. The ice rink is a really big success. If anybody hasn't been over there and you can ice skate, still have a chance. I see they put up some signs. Summer planning, they're still on target for the completion of the pond buildings for the summer. And that's pretty much it. Next meeting, April 1st, which I don't know how that's gonna work with the election that day, so it might not be that day. That's it. That's the update for the work department.
Thank you. All right, so board planning calendar, we have a few activities coming up in the month of February to include the Wiz, which Dr. Kaiser talked to us about. We have our regular scheduled meeting days in February, as well as the Village Black History Month program, which will be here on campus on February 18th. So you can mark your calendars for that if you're able to attend. I know there was a registration for that on the village page, as well as in the newsletter, so. You know that would be helpful with them ordering food and things like that. Winter board retreat is also in February on the 22nd. I think we all have that on our calendars as well. Okay, so up next is agenda item number 8. Motion to enter into closed session.
I can make a motion to and roll call vote to convene in closed session pursuant to Wisconsin state statute 19.85, parent 1, parent C. The Board of Education may move into closed session for the purpose of A, discussion of the 25-27 administrator contracts. B, motion and roll call vote to return to open session to announce or take action, if any, and if appropriate.
Like the second.
Be on the second. All right, Director Schlee.
Beadle. Daniels Ashley, I. Barrington.
Aye.
Bacon.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Walker. Aye. And Well. Aye. The vote is 6-0 to go into closed session at 6:47.
All right, thank you all for joining us this evening. We will go into closed session.
All right, like to be able for us, we're back in open session at 7:17 PM. All right, would someone like to make a motion to adjourn? Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Oh, would someone like to make a motion to approve administrator contracts? as presented?
Correct? Yes, okay.
Hmm?
First of all, I'd like to, Dr. Beal, I'd like to make a motion to approve the administrator employment agreement for Dennis Griffin Jr. as an elementary school principal for the 2025-27 school years.
I think actually, because it is all for the 25-27, if you could just go to make the motion for them and their name and the school in the title, and then you can do all of them because they're all for the 25-27 school years.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
Okay, and then, Dr. Beal, I'd like to also.
Oh, not a separate motion, just add the name.
Okay.
Just add more, add names.
And approve the administrator employment agreement for Gerald McGregory, for Kara Turner as Director of Library okay. Do I put what their titles are?
Yes.
Okay. Let me start all over.
Okay.
Dr. Beadle, I'd like to make a motion to approve the administrator employment agreement for Dennis Griffin Jr. as an elementary school principal, for the administrator employment agreement for Gerald McGregory as K-12 athletic and activities director, for the administrator employment agreement for Kara Turner as director of library and instructional technology,
as well as for the employment agreement for Donna Ross as an executive assistant to the superintendent and board of education. And those are all for the 2025-27 school year.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Robinson. Motion's been made by Ms. Macon, seconded by Ms. Robinson. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor will raise hand and or aye. Any opposed? And see none, motion carries unanimously, 7-0. All right, would someone like to make a motion to adjourn? Thank you very much, Ms. Robinson. Motion has been made. Do we have a second? Okay, everybody wants to do it on that one right there. All right, Ms. Welch has seconded. All in favor will raise hand and or aye. Any opposed? Here to see none, motion carries unanimously, 7-0. I call this meeting adjourned at 7:20 PM. All right, excellent job, and everybody enjoy the remainder of their evening and the rest of their week.